And before we get into it, I got to thank all of our sponsors out there. Give a big shout out to VW Liquors located in Wick Plaza, Edison, New Jersey. Also want to give a big shout out to Air We Are for the best air conditioning needs. If you ever need them, please hit them up over there and they got you. Also want to give a shout out to my boy Skydye Socks. Say's been doing some great, amazing things. Gotta hit him up for your personalized stuff. Then also want to give a big shout out to Ink Parlor. They've helped me to make, these OG4s, which I'm so happy about, and also the OG6s, which are coming next week. So definitely want to give a big shout out to Ink Parlor. Also, we got to give a big shout out to 91s.com. They got the best acid wash apparel in the game. My boy Cody Bromley's doing great things. Then also, we have our two new sponsors, 13 and a half clothing company. They got some really dope threads from my boy Angelo. He was on one of our earlier episodes, Southside Pride. So, definitely want to support local businesses out there. And he's somebody that's trying to do his thing. So, big shout out to him. And then also, want to give a shout out to my boy Joe Snow and Maria over, doing great things with their financial, stability and trying to make sure that everybody else can come up with a financial plan to get their own financial freedom out there. And, when I really looked as far as, what type of, people as sponsors that I would like to have, you'd like to have people around that can help the other people out there that are listening and tuning in. And, if any point in time where you guys feel like you want to use one of these connections, please do. Because that's the whole point of this sponsorship deal, man. So, people like Maria that are working to create people's financial freedom out there, those are powerful connections. Those are things that you can, use moving forward. So, like I said, wouldn't be here if it wasn't for every one of those sponsors out there. And then also for all the people that tuned in. We got Ange here on our Instagram live stream. We got Theo, who also says the GOAT. Thank you, brother. Vitamin Z, who provides the music for this show. Uncle Mickey, who's on our Facebook live stream. It's a loyal viewership that we have here each and every week. And, one of the things that, if you know me, a couple of my friends have been joking and saying that, anytime it's a good day now, you can catch Barry at the golf course. It's one of the things I've really enjoyed doing. I might not exactly birdie or bogey or, every other hole or whatever, but, I think it's something that I found where it's very challenging, and it also gives me, that exercise that I look for out when I'm, trying to play a sport. And anybody that knows me, they know that, whenever I'm playing, I can definitely get quite frustrated if things don't go my way. I threw a golf club that almost hit my boy Admiral, one of the times where I got frustrated. So, let's put it this way. I can understand the frustrations of golf after playing a couple rounds now. But, one of the things that happened, I think this week, was the fact that, I had a great shot off the tee. And I mean, it was beautiful. I used my 8-iron, and I landed the ball right on the green, right? And I wound up bogeying that hole, which was awful because, I had a chance to birdie the hole, and I wound up putting the ball 3 and 4 times, and it wound up ruining my hole. And, I most times I would just get really frustrated, and, I just really would, take myself out of it. But then the 18th hole came right after, and, I, yet again, put another beautiful shot up there on the green, and then wound up birdieing my second ever hole over at Raritan Landing on the 18th hole. And, I've kind of used that, and we kind of used that as motivation when I went up and bowled with my brother this week, because we had a really tough matchup where, we were going up against these guys, and, and the way that it works with our bowling league is this bumper each and every week. So each night you're bowling against a team that's competing to try to do the same exact thing to you that you're trying to do to them. And, that can be difficult when you're starting out at the bottom. And, from, my brother, and when we first started this bowling season as doubles, we struggled a little bit because we were getting some of these teams' best games. And, you got to be able to match it. Now, I say this all to say that, also with, us being doubles partners, we've kind of gotten into this routine where if we get the win, we treat ourselves to some victory pizza at the pizza spot right next door. So, like I said, it was a very tough matchup, and it was like a 4-4 game. So we had won the first game, they won the second game, and it was pretty much winner take all. And nobody wanted to lose that game, and it was probably one of the toughest matches that I've had all season with my brother. And my brother just goes to me and he turns over and he says, "Man, I really want pizza. I'm hungry." And I had a situation where I had a really shitty first game, and I was struggling to really strike. But I really thought back to that 17th hole where I had such a great shot, but I didn't finish off well. And I thought I owed it to myself to really take what I learned from that 18th hole where I birdied my second ever hole to try and then move forward and put things in the past. We always talk about having a short memory, and it's so much easier to say than done. But really I took that moving forward with my brother, took that short memory, learned from the mistakes that happened in the first game, seeing that there was a little bit of oil out there, and I made the adjustments, and me and my brother wound up sweeping that last game to take a 12-4 win. And coming from us, where we battled all the way from last place to now just trying to crack this top 10, like I said, there's so many different things that you can take from these sports, and that's why it's so important, and why we always tell the younger kids to try and play sports, because the life lessons that you can apply, the life lessons that you can learn from the games that we play, just as games or just in passing time, can really last a long way. It can really vault you to places that you never thought. And like I said, for my brother motivating me there, and then also to what happened to me on that 17th hole, I tell anybody else out there, just try and be cognizant of what's happening around you, and really just be reflective after whatever has happened, because whenever that does, I promise you that great positive things will happen. And I experienced that with my brother, and that was something that I was able to take away. But upon that, and one of the things that bowling and golfing has helped me to do is kind of taken away some of my own frustrations, not just with the sport itself, but some of the things that have happened in my own personal life. I see a lot of times, and we had, I don't know, some other people out there that are unemployed, but for some people, they did get a hit to that account. So we want to give a big shout out to the Uncle Sam out there for hooking us up with a little bit of extra change in our pockets. But we can't confuse that for the reality of the situation. And the reality is, $1,500 can't get me my job back right now. It's still very tough out there, and I think the biggest misconception, or the biggest stereotype that you hear from a lot of people, is that just because you're unemployed, it doesn't mean like you're working hard enough, or you're not doing everything you got, or everything that it takes to try and get another job. And I've had conversations with my boy Louis Guerra, plenty of times about this over the past couple weeks and months, and it can become very frustrating when you're putting in hundreds of applications and you're not exactly getting the results that you want. And I know that for me, from being someone that's been on unemployment, you see that balance gets lower and lower, and the reality starts to set in that at some point that's all going to run out. And it's a very strange thing, because it's something that you don't think you have to deal with, especially me having a college degree. But the one thing of solace that we have taken, or that I've taken myself, is the fact that this is something that a bunch of Americans and a lot of people out there outside of just myself are dealing with. And it doesn't exactly mean a death sentence. It doesn't exactly mean that nothing is going to happen my way, or it's going to take forever. But I can't deny the fact that it's very frustrating and it's very disappointing where you've had stability for so long, and that's taken away from you. But that's the one thing that really moves me and kind of helps me to then try and come on the show and motivate people, is because there's two different type of people that this unemployment affects. It makes people either cry about it, whine and think about why they're not in situations that can put them in a better spot, or you have people that fight, man, and stand up and don't take that shit. I definitely had I guess you could say, some sort of depression, or didn't feel exactly myself because of everything that's happened with this whole coronavirus and the loss of the job. And sometimes the days of fulfillment aren't as much as we would like them to be. But that's why this show is so important. And each and every person, like my boy Reese, like my boy Dave Stone, it's like my boy Al, people that come on this show each and every week, you, like I said, you breathe life into my body and give me, the motivation to continue to try and push through, because, there's some days where, I've put in X amount of applications and you can feel hopeless, man. You can feel like there is no end in sight, regardless of whatever 20-week extension they want to give you, regardless of whatever 13-week they want to give you. Nothing can replace the time that you've lost, it seems, in a way. So, to have something I can look forward to each week like this talk show, and to have people that depend on me to know when it's not 8:30, when it's 8:32, and they say, where's the show? What's going on? That's what keeps me wanting to make sure that I'm pushing out the best content, because we have people that depend on this show, like my boy Jeff Farrell. So, like I said, it's real tough out there, but if you're someone like me that's been struggling with this unemployment, you just really have to look at some of the little things that are happening and some of the little wins and try and appreciate that. I mean, like I said, I maybe not have, I may not have said that I was feeling the greatest today, but let me tell you something. When I put on a shirt that had my own, face on it, you know what I'm saying? Like, that kind of, I can't tell you the feeling that felt to me, and it made me feel better. Like, I felt like I'm grinding, man. Like, the things that I'm doing are getting me in the right direction. So just in case I don't, see that instant gratification that we're all seeking for, doesn't mean that the journey that you're on or the process that you're trying to get there is not validated, right? So, life is what we make of it, man. And, even though I'm dealing with this shit is not going to consume me, and it's not going to take my spirit, yo. And, with me putting this shirt on today, that's what I embody when I came through here today, man. So, I wanted to let y'all know that, man. And anybody else that's dealing with this, you're not alone. And, we're going to get through this, bro. We just got to keep fighting. Never give up. Just like that 17th hole, man. Like, I might have did shit, but, when it comes to that 18th, you give me another shot, I'm going to do something with it, man. So, if you guys get that ever second chance, man, don't let that slip. And I tell you, somebody that didn't let that second hand slip, right, was we had the Los Angeles Dodgers, who came back against the Atlanta Braves. Were they down 3-1 in that series to now advance to the World Series, man. I told people at the beginning that I really like the Dodgers, and, especially with adding Mookie Betts, and then to have, what we got, Clayton Kershaw, who decides to really pitch well in the postseason. Like I said, I feel like the Dodgers are a dangerous team, and a team that definitely wants to take the steps to try and get themselves to the place that they've wanted to be in these past 5 years, where, they've made it to the World Series 4 times. So, I like the Dodgers a lot, and the one thing that kind of interests me about this whole thing with the Dodgers going up against the Rays is that you have the Yankees, who you have someone in Giancarlo Stanton, whose one salary alone outpays the entire Rays team, right? So you have such a small market team in the Rays battling against this big Dodgers team. And if you go back to the Game 7 with the Dodgers going up against the Atlanta Braves, the crazy thing about it, which I still don't understand, is that Game 7 game had more views than any NBA Finals game, which is incredible. Because when I start to think about, like, why did that happen? But, I kind of have that feeling that because LeBron James, kind of had a little bit of, they say, quote-unquote, easier road, and he didn't really have that much of a test truly with the Miami Heat. I don't think anybody truly believed that the Heat were going to be able to beat LeBron. So I feel like that kind of took away from the ratings. And, when you're competing against, different teams, different sports like the NFL and the MLB, you're going to have situations where you have not even a final postseason game for baseball that outdoes the NBA Finals. So, I just look to these World Series games, and I know that the series is tied up 1-1, but, pretty much what the NLCS has shown us is that, people still love baseball. Is regardless of whether the vast majority of people might not like baseball, or the generation of people that we surround ourselves with might not like baseball. But the outside looking in, a lot of people still like baseball, and I think it's definitely been revitalized now that they've added a little bit of flair and letting these players express themselves more, and we're allowing the bat flips, and we're seeing more emphatic celebrations. And I think that's what's keeping baseball current, and that's what I think is going to continue to keep it current moving forward. But the one thing that I don't think the World Series is going to be able to compete with is that Khabib-Justin Gaethje fight tomorrow, man. I see my boy Angelo, he said 13 and a half clothing company. If you tune in on time, you see that you got your sponsorship time, brother. You know what I'm saying? Come on in, but I thank you as always for tuning in, man. I love my sponsors, man. Cool dudes. But, I got to tell you this, that when I look at this Khabib-Justin Gaethje fight, man, I feel like a lot of us really wanted it to be Tony Ferguson against Khabib, right? But, I mean, when you see just the way that, Justin Gaethje was able to just take out, Tony Ferguson, I think that really caught Khabib's eye. And, for so long we have people that are saying that the Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier are going to be the next people that are going to take out Khabib. But, when you see this Justin Gaethje fight, I really, really like the fact that, they both respect each other. When you have people that respect each other in the ring, you don't know what's going to happen, man. I know that, sparks always fly when you have that hatred, especially like with the Conor and the Khabib. But, I think that with Justin Gaethje, he's shown that he has punch power. He has, that wrestling capability. And Khabib is not going to take him lightly. Khabib sees this guy as a threat to his legacy. And I think that when you have somebody that is driven as Khabib is, and he's what, and my boy Darius asked me the other day, he said, who is your favorite fighter? Like, who is somebody that, you love and you can't wait to see every time in UFC? And I had to say Khabib because, the guy has never lost a round, guys. I think that, when you have a UFC fighter of, Khabib's caliber, how can you go up against this guy when he hasn't lost a round? So, as much as I may respect Justin Gaethje, just as much as, anybody else, and, I know the punch power that he has, and, we've seen the impressive knockouts, but you can't go up against a guy who's wrestled bears as a child, all right? How can you go up against Khabib, who's arguably the best pound for pound, in my opinion, fighter in the UFC, right? But aside from all this, right? We have a huge fight that underlies in this fight card that a lot of people may not have understood, or maybe it slipped past them. But we got James Cannonier going up against Robert Whittaker. And presumably, if you listen to what Israel Adesanya said after the air hump of Costa, he said that if, Cannonier is able to take out Robert Whittaker, that's the guy that he wants to fight next. And I think that would be a dynamite performance, because what we see in the way that Cannoniers literally slice through these people, and just in his weird, quirky old way, if you've seen him, I see, him crossing paths with Adesanya. And don't get me wrong, that is not an easy fight for my boy Cannonier, because, Whittaker is proven. He's been a champ before. But, you can't, how can I say? You just can't test out that star power. And I just feel like, Cannonier is somebody that does contain that star power, and that'll give you sometimes that edge when you don't exactly, have the skill to back it up so much, presumably. But, I think the one thing that UFC has gotten right, and the one thing that at least we can at least talk about, is the fact that the best fighters are fighting the best fighters. You're getting the number one guy who's going to fight the 3 or 2 guy. We're not really seeing guys that are ducking people or ducking fights in the UFC. And maybe it happens, but I feel like it happens way more so in boxing than it does here in UFC. And it sucks because I'm somebody who's been a pure boxing lover, and I love boxing. And, I think the one fight that kind of entices us all, and it's very easy to think about this, because today ESPN had posted their pound for pound, fight standings for the fighters in boxing. And, we see that Terrence Crawford is up there, Bud is up there, and you have Errol Spence who's floating somewhere around that 4 to 5 mark, right? 5, 4, I can't exactly remember where, but I tell you this, Terrence Crawford is somebody that's not afraid to fight Errol Spence, and I think that Errol Spence is not afraid to fight. But, for some reason, these promoters are not giving us these headline fights and the fights that we want to see. I don't think a lot of people understand just the fact that Lomachenko and, the fight that he had where he just lost to Teofimo, that was huge just to be on ESPN, man. And if we can start to get some of these top fighters that want to fight each other, and then we can get it for free on ESPN, I think that finally with using that, we can get boxing back. And you see that Teofimo Lopez even said it that, with his style of boxers, these new age fighters like him and Shakur Stevens, they want to lead the path for these boxers to say, hey, we want to fight the best fighters, right? And even Dave Stoner says the heavyweight division is hype right now. I mean, you got Anthony Joshua, who, presumably supposed to go up against, Tyson Fury. And that's a fight that we definitely want to see, especially after Anthony Joshua took care of Andy Ruiz, who took him out. The heavyweight division is so difficult, whether it's UFC or boxing, because you have guys that have such haymaking power that they can knock you out at any point in time with their punches, man. And, especially in boxing where you have everything sped out with WBO and IBA and all these different boxing associations, that I just wish that there was just some way that we could get a lot of these best fighters to fight the best fighters. I mean, look how long it took for us to get Pacquiao versus Mayweather. That should have happened a decade ago, but it's still the same lingering issues. And I feel like as we start to see more and more fights like Khabib against Gaethje, or presumably a Cannonier versus, Adesanya, you're starting to see that the UFC, because of Dana White and because of the people that are in there, they're constantly putting the best fighters to fight up against the best fighters. And I just wish the same was held up in boxing, because if that were the case, we would have been be able to see Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. And that's something that I really, really would like to see moving forward. But moving off of the combat sports, I definitely got to talk about two big signings that you might have heard about in these past couple, maybe the week or even today. But, first things first, a lot of people have been asking me, what do I think about Le'Veon Bell getting signed to the Chiefs? And, I'm a huge Chiefs fan, diehard. I've been a Chiefs fan, so, way before Alex Smith, even before Jamal Charles, and we had LJ and, Dante Hall with the return specialists, and, Christian Okoye. I have an Eric Berry jersey still. I love my Chiefs, man. But, when it comes to Le'Veon Bell, I think that a lot of people are expecting that Le'Veon is just going to come in and he's just going to take over for Edwards-Helaire. And I think that when you have that mentality, you have to look at it from this point. The Chiefs have already proven that they're a Super Bowl winning caliber team. Le'Veon Bell might make us better, but we are already Super Bowl champions. So when you take that into account, you have to also take into account just how much team cohesion plays in part, right? That Philadelphia Eagles team might not have been the best team when they won the Super Bowl, but they were clicking on all cylinders. And, they had that team cohesion. So when I see this Chiefs team, especially even when they lost just this past, week or two to the Oakland Raiders, I saw a team that didn't lack any confidence even though they lost. And that's based off of all the team chemistry and everybody understanding and knowing their roles. So when you have somebody like Le'Veon Bell, who came from Pittsburgh, who was the man, right? And now he came to the Jets to be the man. He didn't even get that chance because of whatever powers ahead of him. But whatever the case may be, he just didn't have that winning pedigree when he was with the Jets. So when you try and take that caliber of player, bring him over to the Chiefs and expect him to now get 20 to 25 carries, you're already setting the guy up for failure. You got to give him a role. Think that maybe, hey, let's see if we can even be the third down back. Let's work him in as the third down back. Or, hey, let's put him in the slot a little bit in 5 wideout sets. Let's throw the defense off, get him some touches, through receiving, because he's a great receiving, running back. But, I think to say that just to shelf Edwards-Helaire and just take away everything that he's done over these past couple weeks and earn the respect of his teammates, to then look at the carry performance that he put up last week, or was it on Thursday night or Monday night, where he absolutely ran all over the team that we were playing against, man, in the Buffalo Bills. I think that was very impressive for us Chiefs fans, and then also for other people out there that didn't exactly know who Edwards-Helaire is. So after seeing that performance and now thinking that, hey, Le'Veon Bell's going to just sit this guy over and he's going to be the man, that's absolutely ridiculous for you guys to think of that, So I got to look at this moving forward and say, hey, I love Le'Veon Bell as a signing. You know what I'm saying? I think it's great. And we're getting him for less than $1 million. I think $650,000 to be exact. But he has to understand his role and know that he is not the man right here. You are joining a championship team that has already won that. Stay in your lane. Or like what Reese, what did Bow Wow say? Or I'm at the smack you. Yo, that was one of my favorite videos, man. If anybody know that one, you know that. But also another signing that we had was our boy Antonio Brown, who went to the Buccaneers. Now, a lot of people linked him over to the Seahawks and said, hey, this guy's going to go to the Seahawks. He's a great downfield threat. Russell Wilson is somebody who throws that big, deep downfield pass. He's one of the most accurate passers downfield. So I thought a lot of people thought he was going to go to Seattle. But, just the fact that he went to Tampa Bay, I think that everybody has to understand just how much of a Florida boy that Antonio Brown is, right? And I think with him being a Florida boy, it's kind of hard not to see why he didn't stay in Tampa Bay. I mean, we saw in the one game that he played for the New England that he scored a touchdown with Tom Brady and made it look pretty easy. So I don't see why not, the Bucs try and take after Tom Brady's decision. Because, I mean, he got Gronk in there, and you see how well, after a couple weeks of him getting back into the rhythm, he absolutely killed it for them against the Packers. Then, you added Antonio Brown, who hopefully will come back in Week 9. I tell you what, that Tampa Bay offense is going to finally, I think, have the firepower to maybe compete up against New Orleans in the Dome. So, I think that this is a big signing for Tampa Bay. But like I said about second chances, you have to understand, that not everyone gets second chances. And then on top of that, you just have to understand that, these don't come all the time, and you have to make the most of them. So if Antonio Brown comes into the situation like, yeah, I'm AB, you can't keep me out the league, man, I'm getting too much money, then that's not going to help the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's not going to help himself, right? And, I just hope that he really takes this opportunity seriously. And you have people like Reese out there that say the Bucs are highly overrated. I might be right there with you, because on paper, we thought the Browns were really good last year, and we saw what happened. And it took a year for them to now finally get it, and they're starting to click a little bit. So, I see that, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are putting the pieces together, but we can't underestimate just how important it is for a team to have cohesion and to really work together to get the success that they want, man. So, for that, we just going to have to see how things work out. I got faith that, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will at least make themselves, I think Antonio Brown at best, definitely makes them a wild card team. But, I think that this is still the New Orleans Saints division to lose for sure, man. And now, we finished off with our sports section. It's time that we got to bring out this beer review, man. So, normally I would have a Jersey beer, or I would do something, from Bolero, which I've normally done in the past. But today, I wanted to really do something different. And with that, I wanted to, give me that one. That was in the fridge. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I wanted to do something a little bit different with this one. And the beer that I chose today was a beer that you might all be able to find in your beer store, in your liquor store, anywhere, right? And I think that sometimes with the Jersey beers, it may be a little bit hard, a little bit difficult for you. So, for me, when I went golfing today, I went with my boy Sal. Shout out to Sal. I wanted to get something that, was something that everybody else might be able to try out at home. So for that, I picked a Peroni beer. This is an Italian beer. For people that do not know, Peroni is one of my favorite beers that is not, I guess you might be able to call it domestic. I'm not sure, but it's not an IPA. It's not something that's very heavy, but it's also something that I think you can almost compare it to a Stella in a way, It's got that crisp taste, and it's definitely something that you're going to want to drink out of a glass, man. And when you look at it, it kind of looks like a light beer. Don't get it confused. It might look like a Coors Light, but it's definitely not. Peroni is definitely one of my favorites, like I said, especially as an Italian beer. If you're looking for something different, that's a light beer, that's different, different than a Coors Light, different than a Miller's Light. You want to step it up, but you don't want to go Stella. Definitely try yourself a Peroni. Angela likes it. He said, Italian, baby. Italians do it the best. So, to the Italians out there that made this Peroni, and to everyone else out there that has a beer, please cheers your drink up. And if you haven't, try one at home. Here we go.
Glug, 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 glug. Ah, Peroni, Nastro Azzurro, Italiano.
Big facts, man. I definitely like Peroni a lot. And I thought it was important to tell you guys out there because, you might not have the access to some of these beers that we have, right? He said, is this a lager? I actually think it is not a lager. It's just, I think it might be somewhere. What is this? It doesn't really say on here, Carl. Maybe we have to, get somebody to do a fact check on that. But, it's definitely a beer because I feel like lagers are a little bit darker in flavor. So you might want to put this maybe as an ale type of beer, Carl. Maybe it's a lighter ale type beer. But, Peroni's crisp. It's good. I enjoy it. And I'm going to try a little bit more. Here we go.
Glug, 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 glug. Ah, you can get this at VW Liquors, located at Wick Plaza.
Yeah, so, in closing, definitely want to thank everybody out there that has tuned in as always. Oh, I think maybe is it a Pilsner? I don't know. We're going to have to fact check it. I'm going to say maybe it's an ale. Might be a Pilsner. But let's see if we can fact check that, guys. But, in closing, like I said, I want to thank our sponsors, VW Liquors, located in Wick Plaza, Edison, New Jersey. Let's go, Mets! Let's go, Mets! We always do that for Dave at the end of the show. Want to give a special shout out to 91s.com. They got the best acid washer apparel in the game. Love my boy Cody Bromley over there. Then we want to give a special shout out to Savion Gaynor over at Skydye Socks. If you got some socks that you want tie-dyed or even some of the Carhartt stuff that he's been putting out there, yeah, you're going to want to hit him up. So please, hit him up over there. Then also we want to shout out Ink Parlor, who's been hooking us up with all these dope teas and helping us put our dreams into fruition, into merchandising. So shout out to Timmy Hugel. He'll hook you up. He actually helped out my boy Angelo over at 13 and a Half Clothing Brand. They're putting out some really dope threads. Please check them out over there. And then also want to give a special shout out to Air We Are. Great company, local company. And, they're doing great things for people around here in terms of helping us out with our air conditioning needs. So, please hit them up. And especially another good special shout out to our special sponsor, Maria and Joe Snow, who's been helping people out to get some of their financial freedom. So please hit them up. Hit them up on LinkedIn or Facebook and see if you can find a way to get in reach and contact with them so, you can get some of your financial freedom and they can put you on a financial plan that'll help you to get to the place that you want to go. Like I said, guys, this is the Talk That Talk show. I got 7 sponsors, man. Wow. And we're already on 76 episodes. I just can't wait for the NBA season to come back. I think that, with the NBA coming back and Christmas, we get a real quick turnaround. And, as long as the NBA is going, as long as we got sports like the World Series, as long as we have, cultural events and, sports, society, culture, you name it, I'm going to be continuing to cover it. And we got fans and people that are subscribed in each and every week. We got people like my boy Angelo, like Reese, like Mark, like Carl on Instagram, like Chef Chef Ned, Ishabad Crane. We got, who else we have on here? We got Theo Mahan, John Piggott, a lot of people on our Facebook and Instagram live stream. Like I said, wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys out there. And in parting, I think one question that people do ask me too is what are you listening to? What is it that you are, what's been in your tunes, or what's something that's been popping? And for me, I have to tell you right now, when I was on the way to golfing and, just in my, passing time and doing things, I've been listening to that Action Bronson, man. I tell you right, only for Dolphins I gotta see how it is for vinyl. See if my brother can get that on vinyl, man. Because I'd hang that up in my room. That's how much I've really been bumping this album. Just the way that he's been able to, infuse some reggae tunes in there, along with some, some heavy hitting lyrics, and you can still feel that Queens vibe, right? That Flushing. It just flows right out of those beats, man. And Action Bronson's somebody that I definitely do enjoy. And he has a nice comedic way of flipping different things and making us think a little bit. We got Ish that says top 5 album of the year. Carl's telling us to bump that Larry June Harry Fraud. You got Reese that's saying hit that Benny the Butcher. Maybe I'll have to review that Benny the Butcher next week, because I tell you right now, that's another one that's getting heavy play in my in my whip right now, man. But for right now, only for Dolphins, please definitely check it out, Action Bronson, man. And in closing, this is the Talk That Talk show. Every single Friday, 8:30. I'm gonna come with you at that heat, man. You can always depend on us to do this, man. You got Donnie Lee saying, "We did it!" Donald is a funny dude, man. I love Donald, man. But like I said, for everybody that's out there tuned in, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. You helped to create this platform for me to just take advantage of, man. And I think that if anything that you can take from this show, just to take away from the fact that each and every week, I'm giving you guys a piece of myself, man, and just trying to show you a little bit about who I am, and don't be afraid to be who you are out there. If you feel like you're doing something that you want to do and you're getting fulfillment out of that, and it's doing a positive way, then by all means do that, and don't care what people think, because you only get one life, and you can't spend your whole life worried about what somebody else thinks of you, right? So please be yourself, do the things that you want to do, stay positive, keep positive energy around you, and excel, man. It's not that hard. The recipe's there for us. We just gotta execute it, all right? This is the Talk That Talk show.
Talk that talk.
I'm Barry Holmes. I got myself on a t-shirt, and I got hoodies coming next week. What's up?
Y'all better be there next week.
Come talk to me, all right? This is the Talk That Talk show. Every Friday, 8:30, all right? We out of here.